Ben Silverio.
I'm Helena Handbasket.
I'm Ansel Birch, your host and host.
And it's
Time to party.
What do you talk? What do you talk? What do you talk?
Pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little. Cheep, cheep, cheep. Let's talk about some stuff.
So much music, man.
Some music. My brother was Harold Hill.
He's a what? He's a what?
He's not anymore, but he was Harold Hill in Music Man, and they took it to the Fringe Festival.
Fringe
He's
Fest.
got in trouble though. Donnie Darko.
Hey, friendos. It's Helena Handbasket here, and I just want to jump in and tell you that this is the portion of the podcast wherein we give you a little bit of insight, perhaps some knowledge, perhaps some info that you didn't know before walking into this podcast. And when I say info that you didn't know, I mean I also didn't know it until about 2 hours ago. So this is the edutainment portion.
There's a hand motion that goes along.
Oh,
with
right.
that.
I will gesture.
If you think really hard, you can.
The more
you can see it.
know.
There it is. That's what it is.
About
Welcome to the edutainment portion of the
time
podcast.
travel.
Yes. We here at Time to Party want to give you a little party favor before we leave the party.
Oh, I love a party favor. I love a
We love a
tchotchke.
good favor.
Obviously, I love a good tchotchke because I have two fucking Stella's Roman Reigns in my house.
Romans Reigns.
Roman's Reigns. What is it, like a gins and tonic? It's like Roman's Reign. I think it is.
It's a
I think it
constant
is.
debate in our apartment.
Hold on, is that the correct?
Multiple gin and tonic are gins and tonic. Fundamentally. I thought you in particular would appreciate that fun fact.
You've broken my mind.
I'm so sorry.
Romans Reigns.
Romans Reigns. Yeah. I think that would be what it is.
Correct.
Romans. Multiple Romans.
Yes.
So,
we're about to educate you and entertain you with some fun facts.
Yep.
In fact, it's not a deep dive, but a really, really shallow dive on some things that we found interesting while watching Donnie Darko.
you ever been to the aquarium and they had that weird touch tide pool where you could harass animals in their in unnatural habitats, and it was really fucked up? That's what we're doing with your brains.
We're gonna touch pool your brain.
We're gonna touch pull your brain.
There it is.
Sorry, Ben.
That's the new.
Am I wrong?
No, that's going on the. That's
No, you can take that. You can take that.
I was about to go into the whole thing about the lazy river and like.
Nope.
I love your lazy river analogy, but I also, every time I think about this, I'm like, this is dead ass a fucking 15-year-old, not even, a 9-year-old being like, squishy little thing in the tide pool. Poke, 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 poke.
touch that manta.
I'm gonna pet a manta ray, which I found out the other day from an actual marine biologist that manta rays are actual dick holes.
Aw.
They are buttholes of fish. They're rude. They're mean. And you know what?
They're jerks to the other fish.
Yeah, I mean, just like in general. But all that being said, we're in this tide pool of information, and we are the kids who are going to poke at the audience's brain.
Correct.
The audience is a starfish.
Yes. So, Helena Handbasket.
Yeah.
What starfish are you attacking today?
I am going to tackle the synthesizer.
Ooh.
Fuck yeah.
Because, the fun fact about this film, it was made in, what, 2001?
It was released in 2000.
It was released in 2001, so therefore made in 2000, ideally.
Maybe 99.
Maybe 99, but 2000. Around the turn of the century, Y2K, for those of you millennials out there.
Ballsy to make a movie when we thought all the computers were going to break.
Ballsy
Hey.
to be alive during a global pandemic.
Who would do such a thing?
But the film takes place in 1988, just before Halloween. So I looked up the synthesizer, which is an electronic musical instrument typically operated by a keyboard, producing a wide variety of sounds by generating and combining signals of different frequencies. And what's the difference between a keyboard and a synthesizer? The difference, in a nutshell, my friends, is that keyboards are designed for people who want to play a large number of sounds and samples of automated accompaniments in every music style imaginable. Synthesizers are more suitable for musicians who want to create their own sounds or adjust existing samples in great detail. The reason why I want to bring this up is that synthesizer, I believe, I didn't do a deep dive on this because we're trolling down the lazy river here. We're poking the tide pool. The synthesizer was definitely very much the turning point for things like millennial music of samples and looping and things like that. So the synthesizer definitely turned a corner musically. I also thought you should know that the inventor of the synthesizer is a man named Robert Moog.
Wait, so the Moog synthesizer is named after the dude who invented synthesizers?
Correct. The founder of Moog Music is the inventor of the first commercial.
The Moogshal?
The first commercial synthesizer is known as the Moog synthesizer. And I in poking around this Wikipedia page, not but 15 minutes before we started recording, I thought it was really interesting that he is considered, having been a man born in 1934, died in 2005, that he was an engineering physicist and pioneer of electronic music. And he invented, again, the first commercial synthesizer, which debuted in 1964. Which I know that, again, this film takes place in 1988. But I thought it was really interesting because we talked a lot about on our previous episode about how there is so much 80s iconic music that happens in the score. That none of us know the lyrics to. I just also thought that that you should know that in 1970, a more portable mode of the model of the synthesizer was called the Mini Moog.
Yep.
Which did kind of lean more into the advent of this electronic music era, and I think
the Mini Moogs meant that you could like mess around with stuff while you were on stage.
Correct. Yeah, there was a lot of like vacillation that you could do. Like, we love a theremin, but there was vacillation in a more controlled concept and things like that. So I just thought it was really pretty fascinating, especially because the score of the film, despite again being shot right at the turn of the 21st century, right? Thank you. Looking to you, the historian.
Time traveler.
Thank you, time traveler here in my house.
It's really confusing in the first century. It's been better since then.
Thank you so much. But I just thought it was really interesting because it is which is limit does not exist. That this film takes place in 1988, where we are shifting. Not only we've seen the advent of the synthesizer, which was in the 60s. We're seeing a lot of music that has a lot of synth in it in the score. And additionally, this is both the cusp in terms of when the film takes place and also when the film was released, because two different timelines, where we are seeing the advent of industrial music era, where we're seeing a lot of gothic music coming out. We're seeing a lot of Nine Inch Nails coming onto the scene in a really like profound way. And Nine Inch Nails used a lot of very classical music stylings that had a lot of both 80s, 90s, and 2000s, and now progressing further and further into the aughts influence. So I thought it was just interesting to talk a little bit about the synthesizer. Because... Anyway.
Who sings that song?
I don't know. Look it up. Because that was the whole point on our last episode about how it's a bunch of 80s songs that you don't remember. I want you to me with you alone and talk about the weather. Also, a lot of people sang like that. Like this weird operatic thing.
I wonder if it was like easier to mix at the time.
But also, like, you know, it's really interesting to think that a lot of artists sang that way. And then later on, autotune was created, where like a longer vowel is easier to manipulate across the board.
It's like, I wonder if early autotune
had this synthy vibe. I mean, clearly
was like it needed that longer vowel in order to work. So like
Like
if
a
you sang
vocoder?
the way that the 80s folks did,
Right.
you could vocode it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or auto-tune it.
But like, yeah, like thinking about like Cher, like really putting, vocoder on there. And then also, like Flock of Seagulls, like a lot of that stuff that very like, like really round vowels, was happening along the same time that like synthesizer movement was happening.
Yeah. I wonder if it's the 80s analog to the 1930s radio voice, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like we're looking at our time right now, and a lot of people are bringing back 90s fashion, 90s things. And I'm
Like the bucket hat.
Well, I meant like technologically. The reason for the 30s radio voice is because like you had to speak that way in order for the microphone to pick you. So if the 80s, you know, style, the fashion of the 80s was technologically, if you wanted to use autotune,
to emulate
you
that.
had to do this.
Yeah, stylistically, I mean, that makes sense. That really does. So
The artist that performs Head Over Heels is Tears for Fears.
I, under a Jeopardy buzzer, probably would have thrown that guess out there, but I couldn't guarantee that I knew that information. I wanted to be with you alone. And
So Ben, what did you want to talk about today?
Get it, Ben.
While I was watching Donnie Darko, a lot of things piqued my interest. But when it comes to edutainment, there was really only one thing that I cared to look into a little more. And that was the phrase cellar door.
Ooh, oh my God, Ben, I'm so happy you did this.
When Drew Barrymore's character, Karen Pomeroy, starts talking to
Pomeroy, I didn't know that was her last name.
Yes. When she starts talking about the phrase cellar door, it stood out to me as something like, why are you bringing this up, girl?
Right?
Why does this have importance?
But they burn it.
Yes, in the movie, it comes to have a lot of importance. But the phrase itself legitimately has some importance to many scholars. So
I thought this was fully a movie trope.
Me too. I thought this was
Oh my God,
just for
your
the movie.
face going. I love it. I love when particularly Ansel learns new things. It is one of my favorite things ever because you just have this look on your face like,
Ooh, I do.
like fun joy, just joy,
factoid.
just
Quick
joy
to the
to
vault.
learn. I love it.
like, this is such a quick thing, but it's like, I was so amused while
Blow
looking
our
into
minds.
this. So, in the movie, Karen says, this famous linguist once said that of all the phrases in the English language, of all the endless combination of words in all of history, that cellar door is the most beautiful. So, the English compound noun cellar door is commonly used as an example of a word or phrase which is beautiful in terms of phonesthetics, meaning that it sounds pretty, you know. Plus, it has no regard for semantics. You know, it doesn't matter what it means, it sounds nice. It's been variously presented either as merely one beautiful instance of many, or as the beautiful, or as the most beautiful in the English language. It's really up to the author's personal choice or the scholar's point of view on presenting this word or phrase. When Drew Barrymore talks about this famous linguist, there are many who believe that she's actually talking about J.R.R. Tolkien in a 1955 lecture. I tried to track down the lecture.
As a person with a Tolkien tattoo, I'm very into this.
Yeah.
I love this for you.
I tried to track down the lecture and I couldn't really find much.
English and Welsh delivered in 1955.
See? There it is. And the fact that out of all the phrases, out of all the combinations, you know, for Americans, a cellar door is the pair of shutter doors between the outside of a building and the cellar and the basement. In the UK and Canada, a cellar door is on the outside, on the inside of a house, down a flight of stairs. And outside doors for cellars are more common in pubs and restaurants. But just the
Seems also very East Coast.
right, because when you get further west, it's not like a basement.
It's not a basement
It's a
culture. I
thing.
don't know about that with you, Ansel, where you grew up, but like growing up in New Mexico, external basement or cellar doors were not a thing. But there were a lot of finished basements where I came from.
Ohio had a lot of external doors as tornado shelters.
That would check out. Yeah, definitely tornado belt.
Yeah, and the semantics of the phrase cellar door are thought by some to be relevant because in fantasy, a mundane door can become a portal to another world.
Oh my god.
Like in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, or The Rabbit Hole in Alice in Wonderland.
Or Dungeons and Dragons. When
Or
you decide to dimension
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. It's not like Ansel and
the
I
door down.
fucking love playing that. Do you want to fight
You
a
want to
door?
fight it right now? Yeah.
Do you want to
I got
fight?
some dice in my bag.
Do you want to fight a door? There's a bunch of.
There's some nerd books right here.
There's some nerd books behind you. Do you want to play some dirt and dirt?
Just open up the browser tab.
Just open up the portal to Dimension Door through this cellar door.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun Dungeons and Dragons.
We can't not talk about it.
I'm sorry.
It's
if
true.
it comes
No, you
up,
have
it's
to.
just like a proclivity. It's like you're just drawn to doing that.
I get it. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting that Tolkien was the one who coined the phrase, I guess. Just because that dude talks about so much shit.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, how long did he spend talking about pipe weed?
A lot.
Finest pipe.
But yeah, I mean, I really wanted to look into that cellar door thing because I just wanted to see, like, that's the phrase that people think is beautiful.
That was the thing I was going to look up, other than synthesizer.
Yeah,
but I was between the two.
I thought it was just a thing that Richard Kelly talked about in Donnie Darko. But no, apparently it's a big thing for linguists and scholars and things like that.
Linguistical scholars.
So the fact that Tolkien was the one who talked about it tracks
Love that.
big time.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Thank you for edutaining me.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very shallow dive. Very lazy river.
Skimming the tide pool, poking some fish in the eyeball.
Just
What's
like
the phrase?
the fish in...
Why are you sleeping?
fishy, fishy.
Why are you sleeping?
Yes. Party people, we did the damn thing.
Correct.
So did you now.
All of us.
Together.
Collective.
Maybe with Tolkien.
Why not?
Why not? He's standing right there in your haunted house.
No, there's a young woman who lives in this house and she's wearing a long black Edwardian era dress and there's an orange cat and she looks worried. That's it.
Do you think the cat's name is Orange Cat City?
No, not in this era. But I do wish. I think it's probably called Cat because Edwardians, or probably Old Thomas.
Yeah.
Something dumb. That cat was asleep. Dead ass asleep, so.
All right, party people. We hope you enjoyed our Lazy River of Edutainment. We hope you've enjoyed this whole month-long look at Donnie Darko. It was fucking wild.
Sure was.
Sure
We
was.
both we all went in on our own fucking teenage trauma, and then we were like, also synthesizers. Also, have we talked about cellar doors? Also, let's talk about all of the Chris's. We went off.
It's true. And in case you forgot, watch Shrek the Musical on Netflix.
It's very lovely.
It's very good.
Very lovely.
Pine is the apex Chris,
Correct.
And what else have we learned today?
An ogre is like an onion.
Yeah.
We also
They
learned
have layers.
that cellar door is an actual phrase.
Yeah, right? Like, that's a thing.
That's a whole ass
That's
thing.
a whole ass thing.
It's not even just a small ass thing. It's a whole ass thing.
Whole ass thing. And party people, if any of you happen to be linguists who go into that sort of whole ass thing,
Meh.
please,
Ooh. Meh.
please reach out to us using the hashtag time to party. That's time, the number 2 party, to join the conversation. You can also find us on the internet. I'm at bsilverio20.
I am at Only Handbasket on Twitter, and I am at The Helena Handbasket on Instagram.
I am at Indecisionist on Twitter and at The Indecisionist on Instagram.
Yes. And, you can join us next time where we get into some other crazy time travel bullshit. Hopefully you find it entertaining, because we're sure having fun doing
Because
it.
honestly, we couldn't stop fucking talking about this one. So
Right? Who knows what the future brings for the Time to Party crew?
Next month is Midnight in Paris.
Oh shit,
Correct.
that's fun.
Yes. So, that's going to be a whole thing. So tune in. But until then, be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes!
Requiem, no man.